I do. But since you give me the floor, just a few general comments. I still believe that we are in the middle of an adjustment, a cyclical adjustment process in the property markets, and not on the way down to a huge crisis. It threatened to become a crisis when the bubble became very serious in 2009 and 2010. But after the very intensive government efforts to cool demand, particularly speculative demand for the higher end markets, they seem to have succeeded, at least so far, in capping the bubble. Totally different evolution of events that we had in the US where the bubble was allowed to grow ad infinitum in 2004, 5, 6. So it's a very obscure situation, very hard to put your arms around it. I believe that the adjustment process may take another 1 or 2, possibly 2.5 years, but no crisis. There are some indications in just recent weeks, but Junheng would know much more about it than I do, that at least in some parts of this huge urban residential property market, there is an upturn. There was an auction for land, development land in Beijing 2 weeks ago, where prices went through the roof. Everybody was surprised that for the first time in years, developers were bidding up the prices for urban land in Beijing. But Beijing, of course, is not representative of the urban property markets in China. It's far too big to generalize. The other indication we have that there may be something more positive developing is an upturn in average prices in recent weeks or months. I'm not sure that I can show you the graph, but a research assistant of mine, if I could just hold it in front of the camera, showed that in all the major cities, Shenzhen, Shanghai, Tianjin, Beijing, Chengdu, Chongqing, and Guangzhou, in recent weeks at least, average property prices as transacted have moved up. And the combination of these two developments, the land auction in Beijing and the NBS numbers on property transactional prices in some major cities, suggests to me that perhaps the end of the downturn or the cyclical adjustment period is closer than we previously thought. If we are so lucky, then all these dire predictions about a hard landing for the whole economy or sliding down to 3 or 4% growth, I think, are overblown. We all know how important the property sector is in the overall Chinese economy. It probably, in recent years, accounted for at least 25% of GDP. If you include all the industries that are dependent on the property sales, like steel and aluminum and doors and all the faucets and what have you, that's a significant part of the Chinese economy. So if that turns up, then it will have a positive effect on many parts of the economy, particularly in the manufacturing sector. But it's too early to make that call. I am very cautiously optimistic that we are going to avoid a crisis, both a real estate crisis and a financial crisis, and that even though the slowdown will probably continue for a while, that we are in more likely have a sustainable, relatively high growth path for the next 15 years.